home. Let her go home. Yeah. Let her go home.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's TokiTV, where we gather each and every week in faith, prayer, and education for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. I see a lot of people joining, but I don't see a lot of comments. So type your name in the chat where you're watching from. We always love to know who is with us today, who's joining us. Today we're going to open up before we do our check-ins. I've asked Reverend Tammy Lambert to come in and get us centered. And then when she is done with her prayer, I'm going to ask that we just sit in silence for a few minutes. Because we did lose some Southern residents this summer, which we're going to be talking about in a little while, but we're going to honor that process as well. So Reverend Tammy, if you could pray us in for today's show, we'd appreciate it.
All right. Let's just start by taking a deep breath. And as we breathe in, just breathe out any stress, any negativity. Just imagine yourself breathing in the air through every pore in your being, and breathe out any dark smoke, these clouds. Do it a couple more times. Just breathe in light and breathe out smoke, and just release. What we are breathing is the breath of life. We are breathing not only air and oxygen, but light and life. And we release anything unlike that. And regardless of our spiritual beliefs, our path, our religion, our convictions, we are all united in the sound and the tone of love. And we just say the deepest intonation of love. We call it Om or Amen or Hum. But we know in this moment right now that we are one, in that we are breathing in light, that we each have a spirit, and that we are driven and guided and led by love. And so in this moment, we let everything other than that fall away. And in this oneness and in this unity, we affirm and declare that this planet is blessed beyond measure. And we bring our light to this entire planet and every creature on this planet, whether they are swimming in our oceans or flying in our skies, walking the earth on 4 legs or 2, whether we slither on the ground or hop around. I bless every creature in every dimension, in every way. And we bring light and love to all. In this knowing of unity and love and life, I bring in this space with all of us present a beautiful blessing to Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, a beautiful blessing to her and to all her relatives and to all of our relatives, knowing that we are one in love, that we share this beautiful planet. And as we bless the planet and we bless our brothers and sisters, we also bless ourselves. Have us be powerful in our caretaking and in our relationship with our dear Mother Earth. Have us be powerful in bringing about the balance and the calming of her seas. Have us be the vessel of light and power as we call into being a world that is whole and pure and clear and clean, where we know and all may know that we are walking in harmony together. I bring our attention to this perfect outcome, the perfect outcome for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, the perfect outcome in all these situations. May everyone acting from love be blessed, and anything other than that just simply go away, be blown away like the cloud of smoke. I call it good. I call it perfect. I call on all heavenly beings to assist us as we engage in this highly sacred work. I call this time on TokiTV a blessed and sacred time, knowing that it is doing only good. Only good comes to you. Only good comes from you. In gratitude, I say, And so it is. Amen. So it is. Ashe.
And now we'll just have a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Tammy, for joining us. It was a very last minute request, and she jumped right on. And I know you have things to do, so you feel free to hang out with us, jump off if you need to. But thank you for being willing to do that. We have a couple special guests today, you guys. We have Cindy Hansen from Orca Network, and we have Peggy Oki from the Origami Whales Project. We will be checking in with them both, but first we should probably let Deb get all her talking out since she's so talkative. Deb, just want to check in with you and see how you're doing. You're on mute, but you're good. Okay. That's about the extent of what Deb will say. Alejandro, how are you?
Thank you, Deb.
Fine. Rainy day, but still we survive. We survived the hurricane. Lolita is okay. Thanks to God. She's a warrior. She's an angel, and she will make it. So now I keep telling everyone, just encourage everyone to keep supporting. Next weekend, I will be there at the Miami Aquarium. I think on Saturday. So I will keep praying next weekend. Okay. Thank you, everyone who support Lolita and our TokiTV show every single Sunday. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alejandro. And I'm so glad that you're safe. I know there were a lot of prayers going out to Toki and to you, and people were calling me to check in on you, Alejandro. So thank you for being responsive and letting us know you're okay when I reached out because people were really concerned, and
You're welcome.
a lot of people love you. So thank you, Alejandro, for being there. Howard, how's it going?
Oh, well, in various ways. Not a lot to report. I know a lot of people tune into TokiTV to get an update on how is Toki, and I wish we knew. It's almost a complete news blackout, and so we really don't have really any idea of her condition or the environment, uh, whatever stimulation, whatever kind of exercises or interactions or companionship she may be getting. I just don't know. As Alejandro says, she is so strong. She is a warrior. I hope she is being treated like royalty because she should be, attended to 24/7 all the time and kept well. Someone did just find an email, I'm sorry, a Facebook post from the Seaquarium, which I put on the Toki page, the Orca Network Lolita Tokite Facebook page, that doesn't say much except that it says that she has lost her appetite or has less appetite. So that's not good, but it's not much information. And in what context, uh, what is her situation? I don't know. I mean, it's very frustrating to not have any insight. We hear things indirectly, but they're not authorized and really can't be repeated or relied upon. So I'm afraid I can't offer any updates on how Toki is. I really wish I knew. But what I will inform people about is that in next Friday, I'm going to be doing a talk for the Ocean Life Symposium of 2022. There it is. Thank you. And it goes on all day from 10 until 3. My talk is from 1 until 2. And my topic is the Elwha River, River of Hope. And it'll be at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Can you put that email up, Annette? Would that be okay? Right. Okay. For information on how to get on board, you could probably just Google Ocean Life Symposium 2022 and get to it, or email Scott at that email address, and he should be able to tell you how to link up to it. So that's next Friday at 1 o'clock for my talk. So wanted to let people know. I've been researching the regeneration, the regrowth of life in the Elwha River after the removal of 2 dams. They were finally completely removed just about 6 years ago. So, it's very recent, but already showing some amazing, just beautiful results of growth of salmon and vegetation and all around health of the river. So it's a beauty to behold, and I would like to share it with everybody. So that is pretty much all I have for my check-in. But thank you, Cindy, for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Peggy, for your update. And I look forward to TokiTV.
Thanks, Howard. Didn't see, I looked on the site and I didn't see it posted, but I could maybe just didn't scroll right. So I'm looking at it now and I'll just read it. I reposted it to our page from the Miami Seaquarium. It says the dedication that our vets and animal care staff, this was about 2 hours ago, the dedication that our vets and animal care staff provide for our animals is unmatched. This couldn't be truer when it comes to the care of our beautiful Tokitai. We have a special team, including world-renowned experts, that is dedicated to making sure Toki receives round-the-clock care. Medication has stabilized Toki's health after the respiratory condition she experienced earlier this year. While not considered critical, her appetite has decreased. With guidance from Toki's vet, as well as the foremost marine mammal experts in the world, extra precautions are being taken. Thank you for your interest in Toki. Please send your positive vibes and prayers her way. We will provide updates on her condition as soon as we're able. And that was posted from the Miami Seaquarium a couple hours ago. And Christina Molly asked what happened to the September vet evaluation. I'm hoping that still comes out in addition to what was just put out from the Seaquarium. I don't know. Last month the August report didn't come out till the beginning of September. So fingers crossed that we get more information on a vet report as well. But yeah, so that's kind of breaking news. Our first special guest, Cindy Hansen, I think you guys met. We had a special anniversary episode with Orca Network, and Cindy joined us. And today she has graciously accepted our invitation to come talk to us about the summer. Good news, bad news, all the news. But the Orca Network's doing some amazing work. So, Cindy, I am going to try to put you on the big screen here by yourself. For now, hi.
Hi.
There you are. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks so much for inviting me. Yeah, so I am going to give you just a little bit of an update on the Southern residents and what this summer was like. I have the great fortune to live on San Juan Island, and I have wonderful, understanding bosses, Susan and Howard, who give me a flexible schedule so I can run out the door and go see the whales whenever they're here. So I did get a chance to get out and see them quite a bit, and I'm going to just give you a little bit of information about that, along with some of the data that has been provided. So I think Annette is going to put my presentation up, and I'll get started. Right. So I want to start out with some data from the Orca Behavior Institute. Some of you may be familiar with them, and if you're not on their Facebook page, I would recommend it. Monica Whelan-Shields, that's her organization. And what she does is she takes, among other things, she takes data from Orca Network, Pacific Whale Watch Association, lots of other individuals, her own sightings, and she creates graphs and charts and kind of helps track what is happening with the presence of the southern resident orcas and the Biggs orcas in the Salish Sea. So the data I'm going to present here in just a minute is hers. I'm using it with her permission. And this is a really important project because it really helps us understand a little bit more about what's going on with the southern residents and how they're moving through the area. and how things are changing over time. It's also really important because anytime you can have collaboration and data sharing with multiple groups, that's a really good thing. And these whales really need everybody working together in order for them to recover. So I just want to big shout out to Monica and all of the other groups, including Orca Network, that all work together with this data. So I want to start out, I just want to show you these maps just as an example. And again, if you're on the Facebook page for Orca Behavior Institute, these are posted monthly during the summer in particular, when the whales are around a little bit more, in the fall when they head into Puget Sound. And these just kind of show you how often and where orcas were seen in the area. So in the red are the big orcas, and in the blue are the southern residents. And these are the San Juan Islands right in the center. It just kind of gives you an idea of where they are and how things are kind of changing from month to month. So these are some samples of July and August, just to give you an idea of what to look for on the Facebook page. But I also wanted to show this graph that Monica created pretty recently. And what this is doing is showing a comparison of 2020 to 2022. And this is in terms of how many days they were in the Salish Sea during the months that are listed on the bottom. So in red, we have the big orcas. You can see they're here a lot more than the southern residents. And in blue, we have the southern residents. The dotted line is 2020, the dashed line is 2021, and then the solid line is 2022. So you can just kind of see some comparisons over time. And you can see that they, this year, been a little of both. We've had some months where they were here a lot more than in the past, and some months where they were here not quite as much. But it really just helps us put together a picture of what's going on with them. So I just kind of wanted to bring up some main takeaways, and I know there's a lot of text here, and I apologize for that. So just kind of bear with me, but I'll just go through it kind of quickly. So main takeaways from this summer is that southern residents were here in the Salish Sea on more days every month so far compared to 2021. So that's one big takeaway, is we are seeing them more this year than we did last year. In terms of May, this is in the last 5 years, this is the only the second time that they've actually shown up in May in the last 5 years. And that was JPOD that did that. So that was surprising because we had thought that May was kind of gone. So it was really good to see them showing up in May. They were present more in June as well than we expected, most since 2018. And in fact, from 2019 to 21, they were only here combined 2 days across the month of June. And here we had them 11 days this year. In July, double the number of days we had them in 2019 and 2021 combined. 2020, they were here a few more days than that. So what we're kind of wondering is, are we starting to see an even odd year pattern starting, where on the even years, we're seeing them more, and on the odd years, we're seeing them less? And if so, why? That's the question that we would need to answer next. But that's one of the things that tracking all this data can start to do, is bring up some questions that we think we might want to try answering. And then the big question is, why are they here more this year? And we don't really know the exact answer to that. We've kind of had conflicting reports on salmon runs throughout the area. You know, some people are saying there's record salmon, and some people are saying there aren't. We do know that we're seeing, or we've heard that they're seeing a lot more resident Chinook, so also known as blackmouth Chinook. And they're here in huge numbers right now. And these are Chinook that don't go out into the ocean. They stay in the Salish Sea. Why they're here in huge numbers, that's something that's being looked at. But are the southern residents eating them? We don't know that either. But a lot more questions than we have answers. But the good news is we are seeing them more this year than we expected to, and then more than what we had last year in particular. Wanted to talk a little bit about some unusual behavior, and I put unusual in quotes because one of them isn't necessarily unusual, at least it wasn't in the past. Taking Rosario Strait, which is a pattern that they used to do. They used to kind of go up the west side of San Juan Island. They would go up to the Fraser River, and they would come back down kind of on the east side of the San Juans and through Rosario Strait. And that was kind of a normal pattern for them. But they haven't really done that as much in recent years. But then this year they did. They used Rosario Strait a couple times. Both J and L pods did that. So is this a kind of older behavior that's starting to come back? We don't know. Another thing that we're seeing that's really interesting is what we're starting to call touch and goes, where they come all the way in the Strait of Juan de Fuca from the ocean. They go to the south end of San Juan Island, and then they turn around and go right back out again. And it just seems really unusual for them to come all the way in here and not stay and look for salmon, to just turn around and leave again. It was seen probably more in the past than we know, but since the data has been tracked a few times in 2017 through 2021, maybe once or twice per year. This year it's happened 4 times. Why that is, we don't really know. Maybe it's not that unusual. We know that southern residents are, constantly on the move looking for food. So if they're going to be moving out in the ocean as opposed to coming in here, maybe it's not that unusual. But the fact that they would come all the way in and not even go up to the Fraser to look for salmon just seems a little bit not what we would have expected. So we're kind of keeping an eye on those touch and goes to see if that changes over time as well. Highlights from this year, of course, we're seeing all of the babies. We do have 7 babies from all 3 pods born from 2019 on, and getting a chance to see all of them this summer. And, they're looking healthy and active and doing pretty well. So that was, of course, the great news from this summer, is being able to see all these little guys. Kind of a personal highlight for me is there's one individual in J-Pod, J22 Oreo. She's one of my special whales, and she's sort of become an auntie whale to all of these little babies. So she likes to hang out with them and babysit, and she's actually been videoed from a drone with the Center for Whale Research. She's actually been shown catching salmon and sharing them with some of these little guys that aren't even closely related to her. So that's been super fun to watch, her being the aunt and taking care of these little guys. Another highlight from this year was a wonderful reunion. If you were on the August 7th, the reunion for Toki. If you were on that TokiTV, we showed a video clip from this. But there was a reunion that took place between J and L Pod on July 29th. And it was just absolutely phenomenal, and something that we haven't had a chance to really see much in the past few years. So seeing them kind of come together and have a big party was definitely a highlight of the year for me and a lot of other people I know. Obviously, there were some challenges this year. I know that you've heard about this recently from Dr. Deborah Giles. So I just kind of wanted to give a little update on what's going on with the Aleutian Isle. As you probably know, this fishing boat did sink on the 13th of August, right in front of the Center for Whale Research. And it spilled hundreds of gallons of diesel, almost the entire southern resident orca population, all of them minus 4 whales. They were inbound from the ocean at the time. They started heading north directly toward the spill, then did one of those touch and goes that I talked about earlier. They turned around and went straight back out again, to our great relief. That was a pretty stressful time, I will say. And I do want to give some big kudos to Scott Veers with Orca Sound. That day, he actually stayed up all night listening to the hydrophones and posting every hour on the whale sightings of the San Juan Islands Facebook page on whether or not he was hearing them heading toward where the spill was. And there were no audio detections that night. So that was just, it gave us a lot of peace of mind. So thank you to Scott for kind of taking the time to do that. The southern residents did go back out in the ocean. They did return, and they did go past that salvage site a couple of times, as you can see on these pictures on the right. So there was no active sheening of diesel at that time, so no deterrence was used, but they did go by there a few times. So that was kind of a interesting wake-up call that, yeah, they're here and they're going to potentially be going past this site. So that's something to be really concerned about. So the good news is that after about a month, they were finally able to raise that boat. It was a really challenging situation because the boat had sunk so deep, required special divers, a special gas mixture. They could only be down for a short period of time during slack tide. Then they had to come up very slowly, go into decompression. So these divers were literally risking their lives every time they went in there. And the crew just did amazing work. They were presented with so many challenges, and they just, met them all head on and just kept going. So I just want to give a big shout out and thanks to all of them for the work that they did. So they were able to raise the vessel on September 17th. Even after removing the water and the diesel, it was still too heavy and it was structurally unsound, so they couldn't actually lift it onto the barge. So then they made the decision to move to a shallower, more protected area. And they did that on the 22nd of September. They reconfigured the rigging around the boat and removed the remainder of the water, and then finally lifted it onto the barge. And then good news, in this last picture here, they finally hauled it away and sent it down to Seattle. So now they're doing the investigation to try to figure out what happened. But this was a huge wake-up call for us. We were extremely lucky that this wasn't worse. It could have been a huge oil spill. The Southern residents could have continued heading straight for it. So we were really lucky, and it was a big wake-up call, and it brought up a lot of questions. Are we ready for a big oil spill in terms of marine mammal deterrence? They're trained to use the pipes to try to haze and deter the orcas from heading towards these areas. We don't know if it will actually work on Southern residents. It hasn't been tried. They've done drills, but not when the orcas are there because they don't want to be harassing them. They did try it on a couple of big orcas that were headed for that area, and it had no effect. It was only one boat doing it. And for those to be effective, sometimes you need a lot of boats making a lot of noise. So there's a lot of discussion that needs to happen, and we have to ask ourselves a lot of questions, and hopefully this will lead to some really good discussion and conversations to make sure that we are ready for something bigger that will eventually happen here. So kind of the last thing I want to mention here is the Center for Whale Research Orca Survey Report, which just came out last week. They do these every year. Their survey year runs from July to July, and then the report comes out in September. So they just released this report. The population is now officially 73, and you can see the pod numbers there. Of course, we were overjoyed by 2 new calves that came along this year. So we have J59, who we know is a female, and we have K45. We don't know the sex on that one yet. K45 is the first surviving calf in K-pod since 2011. So very excited, overjoyed about these 2 babies, but there was some sad news that came out of this as well, in that we have lost 3 males from the population. So you probably remember K21 Cappuccino. He died last summer after being found emaciated. He was the last member of his matriline. So his matriline is completely gone. L89 Solstice, this guy right here, he is also gone. And this one in front of him is his big brother, who died back in 2013. So his mom has now lost both of her. She had another one earlier as well. So she's lost all of her children, which is really sad. But she does hang out in the L12 matriline with L25 and all of those L12 whales. So hopefully she's finding some comfort with them. And then the other really sad one was this guy, K44, Ripple, and he was only 11 years old. He is missing. And what is really concerning is this was mentioned in the Center for Whale Research report, and they said that the body of a juvenile male killer whale matching K44's size and with markings consistent with a southern resident was found. That's kind of covered up part of the wording there, but that body was found off the Oregon coast in late June. They don't know for sure if it was K44. That body was never recovered, so they will never be able to tell for sure if it was that whale, but it's possible that it was. And even if it was not, what this tells us is that entanglements in fishing gear are a threat that we hadn't really considered a big threat in the past. That particular whale was found caught up in a crab pot. And that isn't something that has been considered a huge threat for southern residents in the past, but it's something that we certainly need to be starting to look at. So kind of mixed news with the Center for Whale Research report. And it's sometimes kind of easy to become despondent and lose hope when you start to lose more than you gain. But I know where we all do draw hope and inspiration is through the whales themselves. They still seem to be enjoying their lives in spite of everything they've been through. They figured out where to go to find food, even if that means we don't get to see them as much as we used to. And if they do find enough food, they're having healthy babies. So they're continuing to fight to survive, and we'll continue to fight with them and for them. I know being able to watch them, especially for those of us on San Juan Island and in Puget Sound, when they start heading down there, probably any day now, being able to watch them brings a lot of peace and hope. So I put together a video with some highlights from this last summer. It's about 6 minutes long, and I hope it brings you some inspiration as hope as well. So I'll have Annette show that for you.
And just real quick, before I show the video, Cindy, you like summed up 4 months of like a lot of activity in a very short time. So thank you for doing that. And Wendy said, Cindy Hansen knows her whales, has been teaching others for many years. I always learn something new from her. So just thank you for sharing. I mean, you know them, and the way you talk about them is like they are family. So thank you for sharing all of that with us. And I will go ahead and do my best to share my screen. We are having some tech issues today, so let's see if I can do this correctly. 1 second. Here we go. Wow. Wow. Let me put everyone's mics back on. Sorry. A lot of comments about just the loveliest sounds on earth for sure. Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Cindy. A couple questions. I just want to make sure we're answering these questions. So 73 total left. That includes the babies and Toki as well?
Not Toki.
Okay.
No.
That's
Just
74.
by convention, she is not included in the official count,
Okay.
but we do. So yeah, 74 with her.
Okay. Thank you.
But yeah, that does include the new babies.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Wow, I love that. And just so you guys know, that was kind of our sneak peek. I don't know what do you call that? Like our debut movie? I don't know. Show. Cindy's putting it up on YouTube. It's not out there yet for everyone. So, but thank you for getting that uploaded for the show, Cindy, so that everyone watching can see that. And then check out Orca Network on YouTube so you can watch that after it gets put public. And if you haven't checked out their YouTube page, you should. If you haven't checked out their webpage, you should. A lot of cool things you can purchase from there as well, and donate, doing good work, obviously. And thank you for sharing that with us. Anybody, Alejandro, Peggy, or Howard, do you have any questions or anything you want to say to Cindy before we move forward? Peggy?
Thank you so much.
Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Cindy. I really appreciate your presentation. And I just wanted to add a couple of things to what you said regarding the threat of an oil spill in any part of the habitat of the southern resident orcas. It could be devastating. We know that the population up in Prince William Sound area is, they're devastated by what happened up there. And I'd like to just mention that the Trans Mountain Pipeline project, that the Canadian project, is still a threat, and that I hope that we can all take every opportunity that we can to speak out against that project. And then regarding the likely loss of one of the KPOD members to entanglement, I'd like to point out that every year over 300,000 dolphins and whales die of bycatch or entanglement in fishing gear. And I strongly urge people watching to watch the documentary Seaspiracy, SeaSpiracy, and to learn about our choices and impacts on the ocean. And it's just to hear, I hadn't heard of any orcas being entangled. So when I read that news this past week, I just went, oh my gosh. I just thought for some reason they were able to avoid that kind of thing happening to them. So thank you.
Alejandro?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Cindy, for the presentation. And it's amazing how these angels, the vocalization, they are angels singing in the ocean. So thank you so much.
And Howard,
I
you're
love that.
super lucky to have Cindy, Howard.
Oh, absolutely. And we are so grateful for Cindy for all the work she does and all the incredible presentations and education that she provides for so many people. She's on the move all the time. She's going to fairs, she's going to conferences, she's Zooming all the time. So when there aren't whales right at her footstep, so she often is on the edge of the bluff or the beach and looking for the whales. But oh boy, yeah, we do appreciate Cindy and her great work and knowledge and keeping right up to date with everything. So much appreciated. Glad you could join us today, Cindy. I just also want to appreciate that video. It was so great. It was so wonderful to see and watch, and especially when they line up. I really love it, and it's still kind of, it's a mystery. We don't really know what they're doing. We call it a resting line, but it's when the whales get side by side and travel mostly on the surface for long periods, and it's just a joy and a kind of a mystery to behold. But it was well shown in that video. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me here today. Appreciate it.
You're welcome to hang out. I know you got a lot going on, but you're welcome to hang out. We hope you do, but if you have to get off, we do understand. Thank you so much for being with us.
Well, J-Pod is on their way here from the north, but they're not here yet. But if I go like running out the door and forget to log off, you'll know why.
Okay.
But as for right now, I'm hanging around. I do see one question in here. Do you mind if I take a second to answer?
No, go ahead. Absolutely.
Jennifer had asked if samples were taken from the Orca found entangled in the crab pot lines, and were the results published or were they inconclusive? So they were not able to get any samples from the Orca. There was somebody who came across, so somebody originally saw this entangled Orca and took a picture and sent it in, and then somebody else came upon it and cut a piece of the rope and sent that in. And they were hoping they could get DNA off of that to match them to the Orca, but I have not heard anything more about that. I did hear kind of secondhand that they were not able to get any DNA off of that, but I don't know for sure if that's the case. So we can try to follow up on that and see, but my understanding is that they have not been able to get any DNA. So we will probably never know for certain who that Orca was, unfortunately. But either way, like we were saying, like Peggy said, entanglements are a huge issue, and it's not something that we had seen in orcas before. And, maybe it's been happening out there and we just didn't come across it, but certainly something we need to be aware of and keeping an eye on now. So.
Thank you. And thank you for catching that in the comments. Appreciate that. Peggy Oki. Peggy Oki has been with us before, and as you guys all know, she is with the Origami Whales Project. And Peggy, anytime there's an action, Peggy is on it. And so she's joined us today to talk to us about the SWIMS Act, tell us what that is about, and what we can do to help with that. So Peggy, I will let you let me know when you're ready for the PowerPoint. And I do want to apologize, guys, that we had a little bit of tech issues with the PowerPoint. So you're going to see some words crossed off. They don't mean to be crossed off. So it's just how they transferred over. So Peggy, is there anything you want to say before I start the PowerPoint for you?
No, thank you, Annette, so much for every week bringing us TokiTV and Howard and Alejandro, everybody who's here. Everybody just really appreciated, and so much for the prayer too, also in the opening. So, Ashka, and yeah, if you please start, I'll basically be narrating along with the images.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we had a strike through here. Action for Tokite and 4 members of dolphin family in captivity. And there's that phrase, strike while the iron is hot. And it is hot right now. So next, please. I've been an activist for dolphins and whales for over 45 years. And it was at the time of the documentary, The Cove, that I got really involved in matters of captivity. I was a volunteer cove captain, which would mean that I had the responsibility of organizing volunteers and making sure there was material out on the tables at every screening that we had in Santa Barbara, which was went for like 2.5 weeks every night. And so we were there to answer questions, engage the public in this film. And I also hosted screenings in different parts of the world where I happened to travel and say, let's have a screening of the Cove, and did a Q&A after. I'm thinking that a lot of people viewing this TokiTV right now have seen the documentary The Cove. Next, please. When in 2006 with the Origami Whales Project, when I was presenting my curtain during the IDBC meetings in St. Kitts, I met this gentleman here in the middle, Charles Hambleton, and he asked me some questions, and he seemed just, I don't know, sort of an interesting guy, and he just showed up at one of the screenings and offered to do a Q&A special screening in Carpinteria. So it was really great to connect with him. Next, please. And then this is my longtime hero, Rick O'Barry, who I was aware of soon after the Flipper TV series ended, because I heard about this man who was trying to free dolphins from captivity. And it wasn't until 2007 that I officially met him in person. And then in 2010, he invited me to come to Tokyo for the first Save Japan Dolphin Day rally. There were previous ones in different parts of the world, but this one was going to be the first one in Japan. And next, please. We went to the U.S. Embassy in Tokyo, and I displayed a curtain of 1,200 origami dolphins to represent the number of dolphins that were going to be killed that year in Taiji. And then, as we know from documentaries like The Cove and Blackfish, how this industry is not a nice one. So next, please. And so I have this post on the Origami Whales Project, and I created this list here of different documentaries that people can watch. There's a couple of them that you can watch for free, but it has a link to Blackfish. And now Blackfish can be viewed for free if you have a library card, I guess in the United States, and it's like some sort of system. So I have all that information on this, and I'll provide the links to you, Annette, so that we can share that and raise awareness further about this industry and how to not support it. And next, please. We recently mourned the loss of Nakai, an orca that a lot of people were familiar with at SeaWorld Orlando. And I didn't know until Nakai's death that this was the same orca that had been injured, severely injured from being bullied and such in the captivity, because they're, as we all know, many of us know, that they're mixing orcas that are from completely different backgrounds or bred in captivity, and they can't escape when they're not getting along. So next, please. And then again, more recently, another loss of an orca from Laurel Park. And there's been a few fairly recently, and this is posted by Free Morgan Foundation, which is by our dear Ingrid Visser, Dr. Ingrid Visser. And they created this map that I thought I'd share of where 57 orcas in captivity. And then we see the United States and how there's 5 in North America. And on next, please. We know where TokiTV is in Miami. And this is the banner of our document for the Google Doc for the SWIMS Act action. And just, these articles reporting the death of another beluga whale at Mystic Aquarium, and a pilot whale and a false killer whale that I think a fair number of people heard about, Kina at Sea Life Park. So again, we have the orca, beluga whale, pilot whale, and false killer whale. And next, please. We have a video, and we aren't going to be able to play it, but I just wanted to read this quote from Representative Jared Huffman of Northern California. It reads, "The science and tragic real-life experiences have shown us time and again that marine mammals suffer from being in captivity, often being exhibited and exploited and abused." And that's Representative Jared Huffman. And next, please. So some fantastic news. We have a video that was only allowed to be posted on Instagram because I posted it with the music that I think a lot of us know and love, David Bowie's Heroes. And it just went perfectly with the theme because lawmakers have united. We have Jared Huffman Adam Schiff, Suzanne Delbene of Washington State, and did I say Adam Schiff already? So there's 4 of them that have gotten together. Oh, I'm sorry. I already said Adam Schiff. Senator Dianne Feinstein of California. So 4 of these legislators got together and drafted this called the SWIMS Act, SWIMS, and it's to basically end the exportation, capture, and breeding of these species that I just showed, the orca, pilot whale, beluga, and false killer whales, in captivity in the United States. So this is a really powerful piece of legislation that, if passed, could, ultimately be a big blow to the industry. Okay, next, please. So the action is, I'm asking everyone to contact your legislators. So that would be your congressperson and your senator. And all of this information is in the Google Doc, so that you ask them to co-sponsor the SWIMS Act. And I have the bills and everything in links so that you can easily contact them. And while you're at it, let's talk about tokite and any other captives that people know about, such as Corky at SeaWorld in San Diego, and just talk about their stories and share that with these legislators and urge them to co-sponsor the SWIMS Act. Next, please. And just, in memory of beautiful Hugo, it's been sad to think of all the losses. And so next, please. And so we have Heroes Part 1, which I talked about in the previous time that I was on TokiTV. And just in case anybody missed it, I just would like to reiterate how unprecedented and important this letter is from Representative Maria Elvira Salazar and Suzanne Delbene. They co-wrote this letter to the USDA, and they requested, I'm gonna read from the press release. Earlier this year, Miami Seaquarium changed ownership, and the USDA issued a license to the new owner under the AWA, Animal Welfare Act. The license unusually excluded coverage of Seaquarium's whale stadium, where Lolita and another animal, a dolphin named Lee, both reside. USDA has never issued a license that does not cover all of the licensees' facilities and animals. Because these 2 animals are also covered under the Marine Mammal Protection Act and Endangered Species Act, this USDA decision raises concerns about the animals' legal status and welfare. The lawmakers have requested clarity from the USDA as to what protections Lolita and other animals have if they are not covered under the AWA exhibitor's license. So this is a really powerful action that I had not, in my time of being an activist for Tokite, have heard of. Maybe Howard, do you know of any such?
No, it's completely unprecedented.
Yeah.
And very, very, very strange. And it is a bad precedent for the USDA to license a facility that excludes some animals. That means they become unsupervised, unregulated, and who knows, who is watching out for them. So if that was applied to other animal parks of any kind, it could be a very disastrous situation.
Yeah, thank you, Howard. Yes, and another thing is that we've seen that Miami Aquarium has never created shade for Tokite, and that is in violation. And so let's just see what they come up with, because that was included in the USDA report that we saw in September. Okay, next, please. And so this is what was going to be the video, and this is a photo of Representative Salazar and part of their press release. These videos are Instagram, and if anyone's on Instagram, you can view them there. As I said, I could not post them on Facebook because of the music limitations. We're not allowed to post great music like David Bowie's Heroes as part of a video that we're putting out there. So next, please, and then we'll provide the links. So again, if we write our okay, you can write the the USDA and say that you're in support of this letter and say, hey, what's up? You know, and also talk about TokiTV being in a lot healthier and not a geriatric condition where she can be moved to a sea sanctuary. So that's the power in that letter. If you want to write to the USDA and say, hey, she can go, you know, like she's not, you know, in other words, not giving them any kind of excuse to say that she's not able to go and this and that. So you can write the USDA. The information is in that document that we created that I mentioned regarding the letter from Representative Salazar and Zilbeen. And next, please. And then I just wanted to reiterate the power of writing a letter versus clicking on an email petition type of thing. It's incredible. And I've been trying to convince people about the power of this. We had a great amount of participation with Art Letters for Lolita, and in this image here is by Andrea Dawn Shelley, who we know of as being an artist also supporting Sacred Sea and the work to bring TokiTV home, TokiTV Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. So I spoke the other day with a friend. It's taken a long time to connect with her, but she worked for a very large multinational corporation that has had environmental campaigns as well. And it was very interesting because all these things that she was sharing with me, she's saying, oh, this and oh, that, were things that we were doing with Art Letters for Lolita, basically asking everyone to send the letters, the art letters to us so that we can count and track. And then with the cover letters, writing to Mr. Albor and saying, please find and close with this letter, 359 letters. And then, you know, of course, they were mostly, a lot of them were handwritten and beautiful created art. And the other option, which is very interesting that she talked about, was postcarding at events. So in other words, still the power of handwritten messages. And I guess she's, you know, they were saying, and this is from consulting with the environmental campaign department of this large corporation on, I don't know if I should name them or not. I guess I can. Patagonia Corporation, who we know, our legendary Yvon Chouinard just donated his company for the sake of ending climate change. So having tables set up and getting people to just write a few sentences, 3 or 4 sentences on a postcard, and then sending it to their legislator. And that's another really powerful, important thing. I wanted to share a little bit about mail. I wanted to share a few of my mail items because, okay, so I got the newsletter from Cetacean Society International, and they included an update on some of the things that I've been doing here. This is a collage of origami whales and dolphins. I guess you could say a mosaic, part one that we created, and then part 2. This is of the Maui dolphin and the vaquita porpoise. That was again a mosaic, and raising awareness about bycatch entanglement. That's why I'm so up on this. What's going on with that issue? And yeah. And then in the mail, I got this from Sharktopia from Katie, and look at the cool stickers she makes. I mean, think of the joy and the power that comes from real snail mail, and that's how important it is. And again, I got my voters' information, because that is another really powerful thing. We vote, and then we have representatives. Representatives are the Congress people that are representing us, and we can, as constituents, write them with a powerful letter asking them to support the letter by Salazar and Zilbeen, to support and co-sponsor the SWINS Act, and then also, again, to have that opportunity to tell your story and how you feel about TokiTV and Corky and all the other captives that you know about. So I just can't reiterate how strongly that is. And then next slide, please. Okay, next slide. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna read this. I don't have my glasses with me. Why write letters? Studies show individually written letters are the most effective way to communicate with Congress. Written letters have more weight because they are often individualized, letting the reader know your own thoughts and opinions about a particular issue. These are representatives, these are people that lawmakers that we voted for that are in office. And if you're a constituent taking the time to write a letter, they're going to listen. Written letters have a physical presence. They are felt and seen. As again, I shared, like, this is my letter from Sharktopia, from Katie, and the cool sticker, this is last but not least, written letters have a 99% open rate compared to emails that have a 28% open rate. That's basically, 75% chance higher. So please contact your representatives, ask them to support the letter from Representative Salazar and Delbene, talk about TokiTV. And while you're at it, you can put it all together in one letter asking them to support the SWIMS Act.
Awesome, Peggy. Thank you. So there's two things, just to reiterate, there's two things. It's the letter asking your representatives to support the letter that was written to the USDA, and then also the SWIMS Act. So a couple of things there, both very important. I'll just read this real quick just so you guys have a quick overview. Again, if you're just joining the bill, the SWIMS Act, this bill establishes prohibitions on capturing, importing, exporting, or breeding of orcas, beluga whales, false killer whales, or pilot whales for the purpose of public display. And then specifically, the bill prohibits NOAA from issuing any permit under the Marine Mammal Protection Act of 1972 that authorizes the taking, meaning capturing, or importation of such orcas or whales for the purpose of public display. This is really key here for what we do. The bill further revises the act to make it unlawful to export such orcas or whales unless they are being transported to marine mammal sanctuaries or for release into the wild. So I just want to make sure that we point that out, because that is very important and what we're up to in the world. So please, yes, Peggy, will you put the link? So Peggy has everything if you go to the Origami Whale Project page, but Peggy has all the links with the addresses, the actions. I know it can get overwhelming because there's a lot of actions, but I do urge you, each of you, everybody here wants Toki home. Let's bring her home. Take the time. Take 20 minutes this week. Go to Peggy's page. Peggy, please, in the comments, post the links. Please go there, you guys. Take the time to write this postcard and absolutely advocate for Toki in this way. And so if everybody does that and share this information with others, guys, please, any and every action is what we need to be doing for Toki. So I want to highlight that. Peggy, thank you for everything you do. Somebody did ask to make sure it was addressed about the Miami Seaquarium post. Yeah, we did talk about that a little bit in the beginning. No, we don't have any more information, but we will continue to send prayers and ask for information. Someone had a great idea. They said, why can't they just put a live cam there? If no one's monitoring her, why can't they put a live cam there? Put it in your letter. I mean, we can ask for whatever. It doesn't mean it's going to happen or not happen, but those creative ideas and those creative suggestions, I think, should be out there. So definitely want to say that. You also mentioned, Peggy, that a lot of people know about the Cove and Blackfish, but I've been saying every week our Orca network, ours, because I'm claiming it, Howard, but the TokiTV group has grown tremendously. So people may not know. So if you could also put the links for the movies. I mean, there's Blackfish, Tales of Confinement, Long Gone Wild, Seaspiracy. There's a lot of really good movies made. So if you're new to the group and you're new to the page and you're new to the conversation, you definitely want to check those out. So I think it's important to keep sharing that information. And then the last thing that I have before we say goodbye to everyone is I plan to be in Miami on the 22nd and 23rd, and have not solidified the plan. But if you're in the Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, send me a message, please, so that you can be part of the planning. And we'll see what we end up doing while I'm out there. But definitely want to do something from nearby in the water. I don't know. We'll see. we'll get creative. But if you're in the Miami area, please send me a message. Sorry, a lot of fast talking. We're a little over our hour, so I'm just trying to get it all in there. But let's check in with everyone before we close. The talkative Deb Cruz has her mute on. She's not letting me unmute her. Deb,
I'm unmuted now.
yay!
We got to hear you.
Being with us today. Is there anything you want to share?
Nope, just it's really important to get activated and take whatever opportunities you can and that present themselves to be talking to people and encouraging people to move forward.
Thank you. Cindy, is there anything, you're on mute, but is there anything you would like to say?
No, just thank you so much for having me here. Thank you, Peggy, for that great information and keeping us all up to date on that. Hopefully everybody will get involved in that, and not only to bring Toki back home and help all these other captive orcas, but to also help her family out here.
Thanks, Cindy. Alejandro?
Thank you, everyone. And I really appreciate Cindy and Peggy for your presentation. Thank you, Howard. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I keep supporting Lolita. Thank you.
Howard?
And likewise, my gratitude all around. Peggy, that was highly informative. Thank you for that presentation. And Cindy, as always, that was great education and a good update for everybody. And so I think we're all well informed about everything except how is Toki. And that is just very sparse and very concerning. And I don't know how to get more information. And be able to even suggest ideas for enrichment or, how to improve, because we don't know what her situation is to know how to improve it. So anyway, I don't want to end on a frustrating note, but thank you all, and thank Tammy for her opening prayer, please. And see you next week.
I will. Thank you. Guys, keep your eyes out on the page. If we get any information, obviously we will share that. But, the only other suggestion I can say is keep writing, keep sending emails. Mayor's office, County Commissioner Regalado's office. I think we can keep writing and keep saying, hey, we want an update. Again, fingers crossed that there is a September report. I'm assuming there is a September report coming out soon in the next few days. I haven't been told that there's not, but I haven't been told that there is either. So, but they did say they were going to update us monthly. So I'm remaining positive that report will come out. And I really think it's time to, just keep writing our mayor and county commissioner, and they're involved and they're following. So let's do that, guys. And actually, I don't have anything else to say other than what we usually say, which is stay positive, don't give up. We will bring her home, and we will see you guys next week, as we will be here. And I'll end with this video. Thanks, guys, everyone, for being here.
When we got ready to leave, I told you, this is not a goodbye. This is just farewell. We'll see you again. Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut.